Start with Leo at the end here for the first question. Leo, the district has had 6 chancellors and interim chancellors over the past 7 years. Why is that? And what would you do to help hire a chancellor with more staying power?
Thank you, everyone. You have a good evening, and hopefully this mic is not going to crack too much on me because I'm talking.
Hold on a second. Wes, can you fix the mic and have him start over?
Yeah. I don't trade mics, maybe. One.
Use Tony's mic temporarily.
All right, is that better?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so good evening. In terms of your question, in terms of the number of chancellors that have come through the district, I think one of the things that we got to look at is also what was the decision that was made when those folks were initially hired. What was the goal of that hiring, and also what was the trajectory, and what did those chancellors accomplish while they were here? One of the things that we got to look at as we move forward with the hiring of the new chancellor, we got to make sure that that as a board we're identifying.
Go ahead.
We'll need to make sure that we're identifying what are the things that we need as a community to ensure that we're hiring the right chancellor for the district. Make sure that this person has a really good understanding of what our community makeup is, what are some of the things that we're trying to accomplish, how to best utilize the resources that we have in the district, the new facilities that we're building, how to best utilize those to make sure that our students are maximizing their learning. And one of the things that we've got to look at also is in the last couple of years, we've had a drop in enrollment at community colleges. And we've got to make sure that we are looking for someone that can come with some reason that enrollment in their district.
Yeah.
Tony, same question. Do you want me to repeat it? The district has had 6 chancellors and interim chancellors over the past many years. Why is that? And what would you do to help hire a chancellor with more staying power?
Thank you for the question. Good evening, everyone. One of the things that we can do is, here are our students, teachers, and the faculty, along with community members that usually work with us to hire a chancellor. So one of the things that we have to do is, one, give clear direction of what we're looking for as a chancellor. We need them to work with both presidents and also with the community. And so that will be one of the things when we get ready to, since we're currently on board right now, put together that search. We would look for folks that would want to go out there and do that and participate in that and give them clear goals so that when the committee makes a recommendation to the board regarding who they want us to hire as a chancellor, they meet all those criteria, so then the board can be able to make a good decision in doing that. And then also the board has to make sure that we have clear direction to give to the chancellor so that we won't micromanage. We give them an opportunity to be able to go out there and do that. So thank you.
Boom. The district has had 6 chancellors and interim chancellors over the past many years. Why is that? And what would you do to help hire a chancellor with more staying power?
We know that in public education, leadership matters. This is a team sport, and that we all really need to work well together. Like any sport team, we have the head coach, that's the chancellor. And the coach really need to work with the team and have clear division of roles and responsibility, and everybody knows how, what plays they're gonna do. So for me, I have experience as a former trustee of Franklin McKinley to hire a superintendent. And he was able to stay there for 9 years. The reason why he was able to stay was because he worked well with the board, he worked well with the stakeholders, he had clear direction from the board. Not only does leadership matter, governance matter, how we work together matter. And so through that hiring process, we need to give the chancellor the freedom and the ability to do what he or she need to do in order to execute what the board directions are. So if I'm on the Franklin McKinley board, I will be doing that.
Sounds good. Maria?
Would you mind repeating the question?
The district has had 6 chancellors and interim chancellors over the past many years. Why is that? And what would you do to help hire a chancellor with more staying power?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to clarify that what I know of the recent chancellors and why they left is that right now we have an interim Chancellor Breland left because he went back to Southern California to be with his family. Deborah Boyd, I think that's her last name, she was the chancellor when I was not on the board. She retired, and Rita Cepeda retired. And before that, Rosa Perez, there were some issues there, and she left, she retired as well. But I want to say that to me, the most important thing that we need in a chancellor is a real leader and someone who's truly knowledgeable about the needs of our community. And without that in mind, I'm sorry, I can't answer that quickly. I have three. Okay, I will finish my answer in the next one.
Okay, this one will start with Tony. So Tony, what do you believe we learned from the COVID-19 pandemic? What actions worked, and what would you have done differently?
COVID-19, wow, okay. We learned how to adapt. And that was sometimes online learning, being able to go ahead and do a number of things online. We do that well, and we did that well. So that was one of the things that we kind of learned regarding it. Also giving the faculty and staff an opportunity to do that online too, because one of the things that they went through COVID-19 too, they wanted to go ahead and make sure that kids or the students of Evergreen, San Jose Evergreen learn and participate. One of the things that was hard was that our enrollment went down a little bit. So now we have an opportunity to go ahead and bring it back up. But I think we do that with what we've learned and make sure that we not just have in-school learning, but we also have online and some other things. So that's what we like.
Okay, Boo, what do you believe you learned from the COVID-19 pandemic? What actions worked, and what would you have done differently?
I think there's several lessons that we've learned, that we know that distance learning, online learning is not good for every student. It may be, but not for all students. It really highlighted the disparities that we have. Not all students have digital access. What is the infrastructure we can set up so that we don't leave any students out and behind in terms of that? What we learned is that our workforce is really resilient and creative, and I think we should leverage and maximize those opportunities and lessons we learned in the last few years to move forward. We cannot operate as we have been traditionally. We have to think differently to engage our student population, to engage our workforce, and most definitely address the decline in enrollment.
Maria, what do you believe we learned from the COVID-19 pandemic? What actions worked, and what would you have done differently?
What we learned in our district is, number one, in 1 week, we were able to go from 90% classroom education to almost 100% online learning. The other thing that we learned and that I would do differently, and I'm working on this, is to have a good plan on how we go back to in-person teaching. Because our district right now is wavering on that, and I know we can do better. And like I said, that's one thing that we're working on, because right now, for instance, City College has about 36% online classes, and we should be much higher, because as we know, COVID we can control. We have vaccines, we have masks, we are all facilities. I want us to double our nursing program. These are all areas that our community needs in terms of skilled workers and educated professionals. And we also, as students and as community members, we want our students to have those same skills and those knowledges. Because I think our colleges have to be a lot more relevant to our community always. And I also think that the next chancellor has to be someone who is able and ready to address our local needs in a very effective, successful way, strategically with our resources.
Leo, what are your top 3 priorities for the district, the faculty and staff, and the community that supports it?
One of the first priorities that I have is to ensure that as a board we hire the best chancellor for the district. I think that's going to be priority number 1 because that's the person that's going to help us create the direction of the district. Without having that person in place, it's really difficult trying to create something that someone else can come in and change. So that'll be the first priority. The second is making sure I have 20 years of experience working in the private sector and 10 years of education. And I think that one of the things that we're lacking is, the ability for us to partner with corporations and also with our local government to create more apprenticeship programs, more internship programs where students who are studying nursing are getting that experience in our local clinics and our local hospitals. Or if they're in the trades, having some of the local companies hire them as well. So I think we need to make a better partnership between our community colleges and the private sector, as well as our government offices. And then lastly, making sure that we make it a little bit easier for students to apply, because I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're having with the enrollment. And we need to make sure that it's really easy to apply. So if they have an app on their phone, they know how to use it, and it's easier for them to access it.
Tony, what are your top 3 priorities for the district, the faculty and staff, and the community that supports it?
One is making sure that students have an opportunity to come to our wonderful community colleges. They're the ones why we want to go ahead and be here, and so they're the number 1 priority. Number 2 is making sure we have good communication. Okay, communication on board members, communication amongst the staff, and our chancellor. Because, when we're talking about reaching out to the community, it starts with us. Okay, as a board, we are reaching out and making sure that we're working together on these things. Then that's how it kind of works out. So I think that communication amongst the board and reaching out into the community, and all the things that everyone talked about up here, I think is right on. But the thing is, though, that we have to be active in the community to make sure that happens, and work with the board and the chancellor to make that happen. Because one person can't do it. It has to be our board, and we have to all work together to make that happen. So that is the key, and that's one of the things I really, really am striving for. Thank you.
Boo, what are your top 3 priorities for the district, the faculty and staff, and the community that supports it?
So my 3 priority is accessibility, affordability, and advancing equity. So what do I mean by accessibility? We talked about having potentially students come out on site. Well, some of our students are working families. They have kids. Where are we going to help support their educational goals when they're struggling with childcare and access to childcare? So I believe in providing childcare services not only to the students but also our workforce so that they can focus on either providing high quality education for our students or working on their educational goal. Affordability, I am committed. This is public education. Community college is part of the public education. I am committed to continue to look at ways that we can find ways to make education affordable. When I was working at Evergreen Valley College, $5 was the unit. And now more. Working families are, priced out of public education.
Okay, we'll start with Leo. Leo, each day during the school year, thousands of Evergreen residents attend community colleges outside of our district. Why do you suppose that is, and what can be done to attract them to Evergreen Valley College?
Actually, when I was talking to some of the students at Evergreen and San Luis City College over the last couple of weeks, one of the things that they shared is that a lot of their friends are attending other community colleges. And one of the things that they mentioned was the difficulty with our application process, how difficult it is for them to apply and actually understand if they got accepted or not. So we need to simplify that application process for the students. The other is, the other districts know that San Jose, in our district, has a lot of students. So they are therefore competing. They know where the students are here in the district, so they run campaigns to actually attract students from one area to theirs, despite the fact we might be able to commute. So what we do is we need to counter that by making sure that we are doing our due diligence and make sure that we're advertising in our community the programs that we have to offer in our community colleges, not just that they should attend, but what are the programs that they have here, as well as do a very aggressive campaign with the local high schools to make sure that we increase our dual enrollment, because that by default is going to help those students stay here once they graduate from high school.
Tony, each day during the school year, thousands of Evergreen residents attend community colleges outside of the district. Why do you suppose that is, and what can be done to attract them to the Evergreen Valley College?
I'm part of that old high school ride. I went to James Litter, and so I was not recruited, but I knew that I had to go to San Jose Evergreen. And I did it. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that we continue to work with high schools and middle school to talk about all the programs that we're doing and continue to work with that. The other is that San Jose Evergreen have been doing advertising on TV. And so continue to do that. We have to make sure that we get in and reach to the communities that we're there, we are participating, and we're doing a number of things. So it starts with that. I'm a marketing guy. I graduated with marketing. I love to sell our college. Okay, our colleges are great. And so that's what we have to get out there and do. We have to believe. I'm going to tell you something I believe. Okay, and one of the great things was that I believe because I even ran track at San Jose City. And so, it's back in the old days. But the thing is, I believe. And that's what we have to do. And when they see us believe, then we're welcome.
Boo, each day during the school year, thousands of Evergreen residents attend community colleges outside the district. Why do you suppose that is, and what can be done to attract them to the Evergreen Valley College?
Well, my third priority was advancing equity. What do we mean by that in connection to the question? Is that we have to have multiple strategies to engage in our population. We are a diverse community with multiple language. Marketing is great, but it needs to be in multiple languages. We need to figure out ways to customize our marketing to target different populations. So I would think about that. And as well as partnership with K-12. I've been blessed to be able to serve as a former Franklin McKinley trustee. I was there when we built our middle college connection, from middle school to our high school to community college. And it was actually San Jose Evergreen. So as a 9th and 10th grade high schooler, they get to take classes at Evergreen and be able to do that. We need to build partnerships, natural partnerships in the district to look at increased enrollment and access to our population.
And lastly, Maria, each day during the school year, thousands of Evergreen residents attend community colleges outside the district. Why is that, and what can be done to attract them to the Evergreen Valley College?
The community, many people in this room have expressed two things that are related to this. One is how we use the 27 acres to use it to build better education facilities. Two, the question about the data. The community has proven to us that people are leaving this area. I personally think the solution is what I had said earlier. We have to focus on our curriculum. We have to focus on our programs and make sure that they really are meeting the needs of the area, because some of the students that leave, yes, they go, but remember, about 50% of the answer classes are online, so it's not like they're really leaving. But the point, though, is it's true that they are attending other colleges. So I think it's in the curriculum, and we make it strong. We make it strong and we make it relevant, and that's the kind of leadership I would like in the board as well as the chancellor.
So I have one more question from us, and then I have one from the audience here. So we're going to start with Tony. What do you believe ought to be done with the 27 acres of vacant land at the Evergreen Valley College?
Actually, we talked about that maybe a couple of weeks ago in our last meeting. So they're bringing information to us so that we can go ahead and take a look. I wasn't on the board when they made the decision before regarding the 27 acres. So now I have an opportunity to do it now. And then also, too, I want to make sure that we check in with the community here so that we can figure out what next steps and that we work in partnership in doing that. Because I'll be honest with you, we can't do that. And then all of a sudden we come out with a suggestion, we got to talk to you. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is first get information on what it is and then be able to present different options to everyone. That's what they normally do with us. we look for different options. We look so that we can go ahead and make the best decision. But in doing that, we also have to make sure that we consult with our community to figure out which is good and what's not good.
Bill, what do you believe ought to be done with the 27 acres of vacant land at the Evergreen Valley College?
So my understanding is that the issue is in lawsuit right now, and the board is trying to resolve that. So for me, I would be open to working with the community, hear your ideas. I think the good news is that there is 27 acres, and we have an opportunity to think together how we want to use that acre. And so I look forward to hearing your thoughts, your input, and so that we can come together and find ways, innovative ways to think about the 27 acres.
Maria, what do you believe ought to be done with the 27 acres of vacant land at the Evergreen Valley College?
As many of you know, I lost the election in 2014, and during those 4 years, I had a chance to work very closely with our community. And I was sitting where you're sitting in the audience to make sure that this district would use that land wisely. Where everything got put on hold, we don't have any plans today for the 27 acres. And I think working with the community to really think through what's the best. And the one thing that I keep telling people is that the people that I know in the community, the 27 acres, most people want that for education. And we need to use it for education. And we cannot delay just letting the land just sit there waiting for us.
And lastly, Leo, what do you believe ought to be done with the 27 acres of vacant land at Evergreen Valley College?
One thing is clear, and that is that the community wants that land to be used for educational purposes. I, as a community member, want that land to be used for education purposes. And I think the community needs to speak up and really let their voices heard in terms of what are some of the things that they're recommending for that land use. That land belongs to the district, and we as community members pass bonds, and their taxes go to pay for whatever project is going to be there. So our voice needs to be heard in terms of what we want those acres to be used for. And then lastly, I think that's really important that the community really understands what is it that they're asking for when they're saying this acre needs to be used for this particular usage, because it has long-term impacts for our community. We can't create more land, so we got to make sure the land that we do have, we use it for what it's there for, that is for education, to make sure that we build more opportunities for our students and for our community as it continues to grow. Because it will continue to grow, and we're going to need more classrooms for our students to attend.
So now we have one question from the audience, and then we'll have our closing statements. So the question is, have you checked the courses on long-distance learning and whether those courses have been modified to encompass folks with learning limitations? In other words, long-distance learning and folks with learning limitations. And we'll start with Boo. Yeah, have you checked the courses offered via long-distance learning and whether those courses have been modified to deal with those people who have learning limitations or learning disabilities?
So I have, in terms of checking, I would want to explore that we are, in terms of our technology, that we're accessible to all types of learners, and I would be supportive of doing that. I have been participating in listening to board meetings, and I think that they're all accessible in the technology as well. So kudos to the district for making public meetings accessible to communities where I can access them.
Maria, have you checked the course offerings on distance learning and have they been modified to be accessible to those with learning limitations?
I know that what I've looked at in terms of looking at our schedule, any classes that are for students with special learning needs are all in person. That's for what I see. Yeah, so I think there has been modifications made. However, I think we need to work on that. And as I said before, I strongly believe we need to be aggressive and put more of our classes in person so that this will not be an issue.
And Leo, have you checked the courses on long-distance learning and have they been modified to be accessible to those with learning disabilities or limitations?
Yeah, actually, one of my daughters attended a community college at Evergreen in San Jose over the last couple of years through COVID. And some of the courses did have some accessibility for students. However, I think that's an area that needs a lot more research, and also making sure that the instructors and the staff are trained on how to provide that level of instruction for students who need classes to be offered with either closed captions, et cetera, folks who might have issues with different color blindness, et cetera. We need to make sure that those things are accessible to all audiences. One solution does not solve the needs of everybody. So I think when we're thinking about this online learning, we have to also make sure that it's being inclusive, that folks who have disabilities are also able to attend those classes, so they're not just limited to in the classroom attendance. So I think that there's room for that, and I think that the district can do some research there and make sure that that is something that they offer for next year or for the next semester.
And lastly, Tony, have you checked on the long distance learning courses and whether they are accessible to those with learning limitations or disabilities?
Actually, I have not. And so one of the things that I know is that, one, I have a daughter that attends Cal State Community Skills. And what they normally do, most colleges do, is they make sure that they have accessibility, whether it's in person or even online, and they give instructions to make sure that that happens. And so I would continue to work with the district to make sure that those are some of the options that we have. Because most times in community colleges and in four-year colleges, they do that. And because one of the things that they do is they get the records of students so that they can go ahead and assess that and make sure that they have those options, because they usually will check them. One of the hard things for us, though, as parents, it's hard for us to be able to determine that, because it always goes to the student, not to us adults, our parents. So we have to figure out a way with our students to be able to do that, and with college. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to have the closing statements. So you're going to have 2 minutes, and Sherry's going to do the 2-minute timing, and we'll start with Leo and go down the line. So Leo, and you're welcome to stand up if you want, or sit down, whatever you prefer.
I think I'm fine here sitting down, just everybody's sitting down, so I'll be sitting down. Well, I want to thank all of you for being here today and asking your questions and listening to us talk today. One of the things that I just want to make sure that comes across very clear is 1 minute is not enough time to really answer these questions in depth. So I wanted to use these 2 minutes to add some additional context to the last question was asked in relation to disability. I think one of the things that we need to do is make sure that we use technology to enable some of those things that we need to do. The instructors don't always have to be the ones doing this for us. Zoom already provides some closed caption ability, so the instructors just need to determine how to turn that on, or maybe as a district we need to make a decision to just turn that on for any Zoom meeting that we have, whether it's a board meeting or a student teacher meeting or just a classroom meeting. We need to make sure that that's turned on and make sure that's accessible. As well, I also want to reiterate the fact that I'm a first-generation college student who attended community college and then transferred to San Jose State University. I graduated with a degree in history and political science, and I've lived here in this area for over 25 years, all of them here in Evergreen. My children have attended the public schools here, Silver Creek High School, the Evergreen School District, and also the community colleges here, and a member of this community. And I want to make sure that all of you know that I am deeply committed to making sure that the things that you are interested in, the things that the community wants to be done with the acreage, and also with the instruction that we're going to do online or live, or a combination of those, that we get to hear from you and from the students what are the needs that you have, so that as a district we're able to provide that. If we're able to provide what the community needs, we will be getting some more of the students that are leaving our district. They will be coming back because we're offering it to them here. I don't have to commute one-on-one to get to those classes. So, in closing, I want to thank you for your time and make sure that you vote on November 8th for Leo Cortez for District 3. Thank you.
Okay. And now we have Tony.
First of all, thank you for District 8 Council for letting us come out here and participate. I want to let you know who I am. I'm Tony Alexander, the son of Chuck and Sophronia Alexander, who have lived in this community since 1955. My dad graduated from San Jose State and came here as a walk-on to play football and did that. My mom was the first African-American operator Pacific Rail back then. Okay. I am the husband of Linda Alexander, who also is from this community, and my 4 kids, Brandon, who is a graduate of Alcorn State and a teacher, my daughter Marika, who teaches over at Silver Creek in special ed, my son Jordan, who is a graduate of Alabama State and is now applying to be a police officer, and my daughter Ashley, who is a senior at Cal State Convenience. And so one of the things that my wife and I say is that we want to participate in this community and make sure that our kids do the same. So really, I'm you. I'm the one that sits there and participates and makes sure that we go out there and do things. Why? Because I'm nosy, and I want to make sure that our community is out there and being supported. I'm a former NAACP president, so I care about our civil rights in our community. I serve on the San Jose Jazz Board. I like jazz. Okay. I've also served on the Alamo District Board. Okay. And I've been here, and I'm a graduate from James Lick, and I'm also a graduate of San Jose Evergreen Community College District in marketing. So I love this district. I love this community, and I want to continue to participate, make sure that all of us are doing right. Do I make all the great decisions? No. Okay, I just say 90%. But 10%, there are times when I'm not making the best decision. But I try to do the best that I can, and I want to make sure that I continue to support. So I hope that you'll support me. Thank you very much.
And now, Boo.
Tony, I'm just sad I can't vote for you. Love this guy. Hi, Butai. Similar to Tony, I have grown up in this area all my life, and have not only come back from college, but to come back and invest back to the community. I am proud graduate of a public education. I went to Franklin McKinley School District, graduated from Angel Hill, and was lucky enough to be accepted to UC Davis, and came back, learned whatever I could, and came back and invested my energy in youth programming, working for women's rights, reproductive rights, and got very much involved in this community. I was very honored to be able to be supported to serve on Franklin McKinley School Board for 9 years. Created the established partnership that created the state-of-the-art education, early learning education in the poorest neighborhood in this community. That's the kind of commitment that I'm making. That's the kind of leadership you'll have seen in me, and will continue to see in me. Invest in this community. I love this community, similar to Tony. My siblings live here. You are family, and what we do in families, we take care of each other. We make decisions that are in the best interest of our family. And so on November 8th, or when the ballot comes out, I want you to make this a decision hard. I know that you have a decision, but I wanted to ask for your support, because I've been here. I've been consistent, and I've been showing up and contributing to our community. And I want to have the opportunity to continue to do that for the next 4 years. And have you grade me again. Thank you.
And lastly, Maria.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay, so I've been on the board for 28 years, this one. I lost my election, and somebody told me one of the best accomplishments that I made, political accomplishment, is coming back after losing and coming back and being reelected. In these 4 years, I just want to mention 3 things. Well, 4 things. One is that the 27 acres got put on hold. That was big. We made a decision to set up services in San Jose, and I've been chairing the ad hoc committee that's planning that, and we're planning to put college credit classes at Evergreen, at Eastridge, at the old Barnes & Noble site. And the other thing is COVID. I was on the board when we decided to close down, as I mentioned earlier, and since then I have been fighting for, and I wanted to be fighting for, that we go back to in-person classes. I want City College and Evergreen to be the colleges they were for many people in this room and our children. I don't want them to be distance education. And there's many forms of online learning that is not in classroom. So I really want to keep pushing for that, and that's one of the things I've done. And then I was board president. I served for board president last year. I'm running again, and I hope I have your support. You can look at my record and judge me on my record and the things that I've done. I've learned a lot in all of these years, and I believe that I can continue doing very important work for our community. And as I've said before, students are first to me, meeting their needs, and I hope you will support me again and vote for me. Thank you.